guys, how are you today? I hope that you are fine. Are you ready to start? Yes, I think so. Today we are going to study the present perfect continuous. So, do you remember that we were checking this one in class? Okay, so what do we need to make a sentence in present perfect continuous? The subject first, then the auxiliary have or has, then the verb being, of course, this is a verb be but in past participle. And then the other verb with ing. And depend on you if you put a complement there. Then, sorry. Okay, look at this picture. We are going to study this situation. What do you think will happen? Probably it will be raining, right? So, is it raining? No, but the ground is wet. It has been raining. Okay, so when do we have to use this one? That means that it starts raining, of course, but no, now, probably no, but now it has stopped. So that means that, of course, if the floor is wet, that means that it has been raining, right? Yes. So here we use the auxiliary have or has plus been plus my verb with ing, and that means that we are using the present perfect continuous. Here we have 7 subjects, of course. Of course, as I told you, we have to divide these subjects into 2 groups. The shorter one, he, she, it. The other one, I, you, we, they, right? What you are looking in that picture. So, let us start with the first one. We have to use auxiliary have with I, you, we, they, and has with he, she, it. Then, the same for both with been, and of course the same with the verb with ing. Here, when do we use it? We use the present perfect continuous for an activity that has recently stopped or just stopped, right? There is a connection with now. So that means that this activity has started in the past, of course, but it has a connection with the present, right? Let's see these examples. You are out of breath. Have you been running? That means that you are out of breath now, right? The other one, Paul is very tired. He has been working very hard, so he's tired now. So, as you can see here, of course, it's not so difficult to make questions. What do we need to do? Okay, the structure to make positive sentences is, of course, on the negative one. We need subject. This is the subject because we start with the subject, and then we put the auxiliary have or has. That's for affirmative sentences. So I have here the subject, and I have here the auxiliary have or has. What do I have to do to make questions? Just to change the place of them. That's all. So that means that we have to start with auxiliary have or has. And then goes my subject, right? Yes, that's good. As you can see in that example. Have you. In the sentence, it will be you have been running. But in question, have you been running? Right? Also with the second one, he has been working. Has he been working? And of course, at the end, the question mark. Don't forget it. Here, studying out this situation. Do you remember that we were practicing this one in class? Yes. So, let's see this one. It began raining 2 hours ago. And it is still raining. It's still raining now. It is still raining now. So, it is how long has it been raining? How long has it been raining? It has been raining for 2 hours. Imagine 2 hours. We use the present perfect continuous in this way with hours. We have to use for and since. Do you remember that we were checking that, of course, for and since, the use of them? Yes. So the activity is still happening. That means that it is raining until now, right? Here, the present perfect continuous is often used with words and phrases like all day, week, year, etc. Of course, with for, since, and just, etc. too, as well as for actions repeated over a period of time. Let's see the first example. How long have you been learning English? How long? How long have you been learning English? You are still learning English, right? Now, you are still studying. Here, Tom is still watching TV. He has been watching TV all day. This one, where have you been? I have been looking for you the last half hour. We have been working for hours and I need a rest. Oh my God, that means that person is very tired. The other example, every morning they meet in the same cafe. They have been dating there for years, right? They have been dating, right? Because we're talking about a date. Note, take note. Take this note, okay? This is going to be a tip for you. The present perfect is not normally used with the words ever and never. No ever, no never, okay? In this case, we use present perfect simple. Remember that because we are going to continue practicing the present perfect simple versus present perfect continuous, of course, in order to realize what is the real difference between them. So let's start with the first example. Have you ever flown in a helicopter before? That means that we are using that present perfect simple. Here, have you ever been flying? No, guys. That's why I'm telling you that if you realize if in that part of sentence you have ever and never, you don't have to use the present perfect continuous. What you have to use is a present perfect simple. No continuous, just simple. Sometimes there is very little difference in meaning between present perfect simple and present perfect continuous. And sometimes there is a difference in the meaning too. Let's see. For example, I have worked at the airport for 4 years. I have been working at the airport for 4 years. What is the difference between them? The first one means that I'm telling you that I have worked at the airport for 4 years. But are you working now? No. No, of course no. That action has stopped. And the second one, I have been working at the airport for 4 years. That means that you are still working, right? You are working now. You have started in the past, of course, and you are working in that place for 4 years, but you are working now. You didn't stop, right? I have read that book about cruise ships and I have finished it. But, look at here, I have been reading that book about cruise ships. I have not finished it. So, in the first sentence, that means that you have already finished reading that book. But in the second sentence, that means that you are still reading that book. That means that you didn't finish, right? Okay, another tip. The present perfect continuous is not used with stative verbs. This case we use present perfect simple. Present perfect simple for stative verbs. For example, have you known each other long? Not. We don't have to write. Have you been knowing? Impossible because now is a stative verb. Now here, I haven't liked ice cream since I ate too much and I was sick. So, note I haven't been liking? No, like is a stative verb. As you can see here, there are some stative verbs that I decided to put that here in order to study a little bit about that. So please, you have to check all these verbs in order to know which verbs are steady verbs, right? Let's continue here. Steady verbs. Steady verbs are not normally used in the continued tenses because they don't describe actions. So here there is the use and here there is the example. Okay, so steady verbs often refers to thinking. That means believe, imagine, know, mean, think, and understand. Okay, those are the steady verbs. In existence, be and exist. Emotions, hate, like, love, need, prefer, satisfy, and want. The human senses, hear, see, smell, sound, and taste. Appearance, appear, look, resemble, seem. Possession and relationships between things. Belong to, consist of, have, include, involve, and own. Let's see this example. Okay, so let's see first. Some verbs such as be, have, imagine, look, see, smell, taste, and think are steady verbs with one meaning and non-steady verb with another meaning. For example, do you have your plane ticket with you? That means that we are talking about possession, right? And the other one here, are you having lunch at the moment? That's the action because you are eating, right? Okay, guys, so please remember all the tips because we are going to continue practicing there. Okay, and thanks for watching. See you next class. Take care. Don't go out. Bye.